Hey guys, this is Courtney from Willow's Bloom, and today we're going to be talking about the Virgo full moon, which is happening on February 27th at 8 degrees of Virgo. And the influence of this full moon is going to be felt until around March 10th, when the next moon is going to take place. So I'm going to break down what this moon means, like the larger context of it, and then I'm going to start talking about it for each individual zodiac sign. And I specifically like to do it for rising signs, and you can find that in the description box below. But I highly encourage you to listen to the intro because it's going to give you guys a lot more context about what you can expect. So let's talk about what a full moon is and then what a Virgo full moon is. So a full moon is a time of culmination. It's when things come to a head, when we can tend to reap the harvest or at least look at how far we have left to go. And specifically with Virgo, I was meditating on the energy, and the first word that came to mind was service. Because really, what Virgos are all about is being of service to other people. And so I feel like this moon is going to give us the opportunity to be more of service in our life. And I feel like this full moon is also going to be in service of ourselves and our evolvement and personal development. So let's break down the different aspects of the moon to see how this is going to be in service of us and help us. So first of all, I want to talk about something that's kind of happening in the backdrop, but is also being influenced with this moon. So Saturn has been making a really tight square to Uranus for the last few days. And this is really asking us to make some long overdue changes to our lives. And we can already see this coming into play on the collective scale because Uranus rules over electricity, and it also is currently moving through Taurus, which is really related to like land and the food supply chain. And so we've already started to see that there have been some food shortages because of COVID, and I do suspect that that's going to continue as Saturn continues to make squares to Uranus throughout this year. And we've also seen the power supply, the power grid in Texas obviously has been, down and presenting a lot of issues for the people there. And because Uranus rules electricity, Saturn is then going ahead and restricting or making it smaller in a sense. So it's like diminishing the food supply chain, is diminishing our electricity and our power. And it is possible that this could happen on a larger scale. Hopefully that's not the case, but we can kind of see this on a collective level. But internally, Uranus, I feel like when we think about electricity, Uranus is kind of like our own internal electricity, our own light, the part of us that wants to kind of like break the mold and break through and make really big changes to our lives. It's kind of like that shocking power. And Saturn making a square to it is, in my opinion, putting more stress and more pressure onto this aspect, making us more aware of where we need to create change, because a square inherently is a change making aspect. It's one that requires a resolution. It requires our effort. And Saturn also represents really old habits, things that we've kind of been carrying over just because of habit, because of time, because of tradition, and just the way it's always been. And so I feel like Uranus is this more progressive energy, the electric energy that wants to break free. These energies combining are basically saying that it's time to finally overhaul some of the more stagnant areas of our life, some of the areas of our life where we're experiencing a lot of those old habits that are really dragging us down and not helping our evolution. And as I said, the full moon in Virgo is really being of service to us and helping us be more in service to society. So just think about ways in which you really need help to break free from these old patterns and old habits and old thoughts. And then think about how you can then evolve in a way that's actually going to really help humanity and really help the world. If you were unencumbered, if you were uninhibited, what could you really achieve? What could you really do for other people? And I feel like that's what this Virgo new moon or full moon is really coming in and saying for us is that we're being energetically supported at this time through the universe so that we can be more of service. So we have Venus within 6 degrees of the sun in Pisces during this full moon. So This is a pretty loose orb, meaning that it's going to have less of an influence, but I wanted to mention it because it is there and it is a really positive aspect. So Venus will always give us blessings. So the fact that it's aligning with the moon, I feel like it's asking us to cultivate a greater sense of compassion for ourselves and moving through this process, because we can really only create change when we've begun to heal the parts of ourselves and send love and compassion to the parts of ourselves that we've been holding on to that are keeping us small. And so this is a time with Venus coming in here to start to show that love and compassion to ourselves, to heal those sides of ourselves, especially because it's in Pisces, with the sun in Pisces. It's basically allowing us to let go of those things from a very loving place, because I think Saturn can kind of bring the energy of like, I need this gone and I'm going to beat myself up into making this change. And I think that Venus being somewhat near the sun is kind of giving us a softer cushion and saying, you know, the only way to real lasting change is through healing, is through love. And so it's giving us an opportunity to do that. So this moon is also making a quincunx to Saturn. So a quincunx is an inherently challenging angle that oftentimes basically is going to make us like question or challenge our resources and our resourcefulness. And it's going to ask us to be letting go of the past, but yet the quincunx energy makes it a struggle. It makes it feel like we can't fully let go of the past. And so it's going to be up to us to find new and innovative ways to move forward. A quincunx basically represents two planets in signs that have no alikeness. And this is not even in traditional astrology, they don't even consider this an aspect. So it's more like a modern take on things. But if you can imagine two of your parents or two of your family members who just have nothing in common, that is like the quincunx. And it's up to us to somehow reconcile these energies, to somehow find a new and creative and innovative solution to problems that we've been having. And problems that we've been having is things from the past that we need to let go of. So how do we break these old habits? By finding new and creative solutions. So for example, recently, I have been trying to stop smoking. And so what I've been doing is I bought this new box where you can literally set a timer on it and like put stuff inside, and it will only unlock when the timer is done. And so I've been doing that now to keep myself from smoking during the week. So it's things like this that are going to help us kind of shake off this old energy that we've been living in. So just try to think of, okay, what are some things that I keep having the same issues with, and how can I find a new and different and creative solution that will actually lead to a change this time, that will actually allow me to let go of this past behavior and past habits. And because the moon is making a trine to Uranus, it is giving us the opportunity to do this. So once we apply that creativity, those internal shifts are going to be a lot easier to make right now. Essentially, the universe is supporting us in this change because Uranus wants a change. It wants things to be different, and it wants us to progress. And if we keep kind of retracking this same 10 feet that we've been living in and moving in circles, we're never going to really reach the point where we can be fully of service, which is what this moon is about. And so yeah, I'm really excited that the moon is making a trine and the sun is making a sextile to Uranus, because that is really beautiful energy for potentialities and for actually making lasting change and for things being different this time. I know that it's really hard to believe in ourselves and believe that things can be different. And that's what the last Aquarius new moon was about 2 weeks ago. It's about believing that change is possible and that we can totally have a new beginning, even though the past has many, many examples of our mistakes, many examples of things not working out. That last Aquarius new moon was setting us up to have more faith and hope and realize that things actually are different this time. The energy has shifted so much and we are becoming different people. And the changes that we're trying to implement now can totally transform our lives, even if we failed making those changes in the past. So I just wanted to use that as like a way to encourage you guys, because I know that it can get really daunting thinking ahead into the future and having hope, and then kind of contracting and saying, oh, I shouldn't hope about that because last time it didn't work out. So I just want you guys to actually hope, to actually believe in yourselves, believe that this change is possible, because the astrology is supporting it. It's really big, monumental energy that we haven't experienced in a long time. And so this energy is going to allow us to make and solidify real life changes that we've been trying to do. This moon is also making a quincunx to Chiron. So just like I was saying before, we need to make new creative changes to let go of the past and break old habits and patterns. It's the same for our healing. I think basically, I feel like the only real way to make these changes is through healing. Chiron is involved all throughout this moon. And whenever Chiron is involved, it's basically saying that there's past life healing that is being done. So some of the patterns and the habits and the things that you have right now are a result of things from the past life, energy from your past life, or if you don't believe in past lives, from your childhood. Regardless, things deeply from the past that have been likely an almost unconscious wound, something that is very sensitive but maybe not fully explored. And I feel like with the moon making a quincunx to Chiron, it's asking us to really fully and deeply explore why we are hanging on to those patterns and start to get down to the root cause so that we can make progress within healing that. So kind of going back and looking at your parents and how they reacted, and if you've picked up some of these habits from them, or if you have an intuitive feeling, or if you've had a past life reading about what may have happened in your past lives, are you carrying over some of that residue, some of those emotions? And then is that causing you to kind of stifle yourself or keep yourself stuck based off of those past events? So it's an opportunity for us to fully heal and believe in a better future. Okay, so what is going on outside of the moon? I already mentioned Saturn square Uranus, which has been happening for a few days now, but we're also having Jupiter and Saturn conjunct Mercury. So this is really beautiful because when we had the Great Conjunction, which is Jupiter and Saturn combined, we have these two energies of restructuring society. One is the higher mind, the vision for the future, the optimistic side of ourselves that can truly see our life panning out in a really beautiful and powerful way. And then Saturn is that side of ourselves that knows what has to die off, that can kind of get down to the nitty-gritty details about what comes, what goes, and take that plan that Jupiter makes and put it into realistic action. And so when these planets are combined with Mercury, our planet of thinking and communication, it's basically giving us a chance to restructure our mindset. Because whenever we are breaking a habit, whenever we are breaking old ways of being and really outdated modes, of course it has to come from a place of love, healing, and compassion. But the only way to make it truly solidify besides healing is restructuring your mind. So instead of thinking the same way as before, you have to think differently about the things. That's really the only thing that is going to keep you on that path of not doing that thing or doing that thing, if it's adding a new thing in. And so I think it's going to be a really powerful time in order for your mind to kind of sync up with your actions. It's like everything has to be in line, the healing, the mindset, and the action. And then once all those things are working in tandem together, then you can see real lasting results. So this is a beautiful time to really choose your thoughts wisely, to choose the way that you want to perceive the world and to think about your future. It's a really great time for manifesting as well. So if you want to sit and do a future self visualization or do journaling exercises about your future self, that is really going to help solidify all the changes that you're trying to make. Okay, so we also have Mars making a trine with Pluto at this time. So this is a lot of intense energy. Whenever Mars and Pluto gets together, it creates a lot of energy and ambition and drive and just intensity within us. So, because Saturn is also making a square to Uranus, we already kind of have this like built up like electricity kind of waiting to burst out, and then make Mars making a trine to Pluto is also giving it the more like long-term drive to actually see these things through. So I see that this trine is very positive because the trine is a positive aspect between planets. And so I feel like this is giving us the gumption to really stick to our resolve and yeah, to see things through. So if you feel like you have a kind of intense energy at this time, just be aware of where you're channeling that energy, because you can channel it into the negative things, but if you're conscious, the universe is supporting you right now. Like the universe has all the alignments happening for you to make this change. You have free will and you can choose what to do with it, but you are going to have the energy and you're going to have to decide yourself where you want to put that energy. And then lastly, Saturn is making a sextile to Chiron. So I feel like this is basically saying that as we begin to put more effort into making these changes, we will start to heal from the past. I do see it as a simultaneous thing. I don't think that the past needs to fully be healed before we can make the changes. I think that they will happen together. So I think it's important for us to look into the past, look into our childhood, past lives, whatever, and kind of get down to the root cause of why we lean on certain coping mechanisms or lean on certain habits or lean on certain people, or don't have a strong enough relationship with ourselves, whatever it is. And then yeah, as we begin to explore those things, we can shift our habits as well, and they will heal at the same time simultaneously, which means the same thing. All right, so that was pretty much it, and now I'm going to go over all of the rising signs. All right, hello Gemini Rising. So somehow I forgot to include you in the original Virgo full moon video, and it's ironic because I am a Gemini. So because of that, I'm going to pull an extra card for you guys from my favorite Kuan Yin Oracle deck and read the messages. And that's also the reason why my video blows. So, okay, so this full moon in Virgo is happening in your fourth house. So I do see some kind of culmination coming through in terms of your home or your family. And I also kind of feel like this is going to be tied to like some ideas or beliefs around the home and family. So the reason I say that is because you guys currently have Saturn moving through your ninth house, which rules over our belief systems and our higher perspective and understanding of the world. And because Saturn is making a square to Uranus in the 12th house, I feel like you guys are going to start getting like divine insights or bursts of information in regards to these beliefs, and have like new ways of thinking because of that. Yes. And so what I feel like this is going to do for you guys is it's going to kind of restructure or reorganize certain beliefs around the home and family. Like maybe you guys will have a different understanding of your parents, of some aspect of you being a parent, or where you want to live, or some element of your childhood. So yeah, I'm really curious how that will manifest for you. I'm just going to pull some cards. And yeah, so I just pulled the Void of Course Moon missing, Queen of Wands. That's really good. I'm going to pull another one. The Sun. Okay. That's awesome. So these are a lot of cards related to happiness. I mean, this one is literally related to children. You can see there's like a kid on a horse here, and the sun is representing like brighter days ahead, being really happy, being fulfilled and celebrating life. This is a really positive card, and so is this one. And it's interesting because both of these cards have sunflowers in them. So there is maybe some kind of connection here to sunflowers. or maybe what that means for you guys, which I feel like is just generally bringing more happiness. And whenever I see the Queen of Wands, I see someone standing really in her power, in her confidence. So I do feel like these shifts that are going to be happening for you are going to be extremely positive and helping you cultivate a greater sense of self and greater sense of confidence to move forward. And I feel like it's going to ultimately help you in your relationships because you also have Chiron moving through the 11th house. Aww. And Chiron moving through the 11th house is bringing some healing to your relationships with other people, your ability to feel like you belong to friendships, to a group that you're in. And because Saturn is kind of helping you restructure your beliefs, it's it's through this avenue that you're going to start to heal your relationships. So I feel like there is some element here of you restructuring your beliefs, your thoughts, around your family, around your ancestry, and that's going to ultimately help heal your friendships as well as just you. And it's going to help you let go of some of that old baggage, which Uranus moving through your 12th house is going to allow you to do. As a Gemini rising, you guys have had it kind of hard because you, for this past year, have had Saturn and Pluto in 2020 moving through the 8th house. And so it's been really highlighting a lot of your deep fears and insecurities. And I think that this is kind of like giving a final burst to some of this. So any of the stuff that has maybe been like going unnoticed or has been really deeply implanted in you from your family, from your childhood, I think those things are going to start to loosen up and come to light so you can release them and feel a little bit more happy and positive. And it's interesting because I pulled the butterfly card. So I do feel like you've already been going through this deep metamorphosis throughout this entire past year. And I think really anytime we have huge transits to the eighth house, especially Pluto, which you guys still have transiting there, it's giving us a deep internal transformation. And I feel like that's what that butterfly card is saying. But the other thing about the butterfly is it's already been released from its cocoon. It's already completed the transformation and it feels so much lighter and it can kind of flit around to these sunflowers and go and pollinate and make the world a more beautiful place through its essence. And I feel like that's what you guys are moving on towards. You're letting go of that heaviness. Oh, wow. Yeah, you guys are really letting go of that heaviness. I pulled the Phoenix card. You are literally a phoenix rising from the ashes. The phoenix, the butterfly, there's so many symbols of metamorphosis and transformation here. And I feel like this is just an opportunity to sit and bask in the light of all of the work that you've done. It's kind of like giving yourself credit for how far you've come and definitely patting yourself on the back. And again, I think this is really going to ultimately, this full moon is it's going to ultimately help you shed those last layers, connect more deeply with your friends, heal your relationships, and I think just feel lighter and better overall. I also feel like it's a time for rest. So I pulled the void of course moon, and whenever the moon is void of course, it just means that it's not making aspects to different planets. And the moon likes to make aspects. It's a receptive planet. So it doesn't have a lot of oomph on its own. And so I really feel like since the fourth house is such a solitary house, it is about our home, it is about our family. It's where we go to truly be ourselves, to rest, to relax, to reconnect with our souls. I feel like this full moon is actually going to give you guys an opportunity to do that, to stay at home, to relax, to celebrate with your loved ones, with your family, with your friends. So this looks really beautiful for you guys. I'm going to pull a card out of the Kuan Yin deck and read you some of the explanations. And like I said, this is my favorite. I find it super therapeutic. This was actually the first oracle deck I've ever had in my life. And a friend gave it to me after a rough breakup. And I read it almost every single night. And it always had a message for me that really touched my soul. And so I'm hoping for you guys, after everything that you've been through with all this transformation and metamorphosis energy, I'm hoping that it will do something similar for you all because you guys freaking deserve it. You guys are badasses. You are so strong. And I just want to recognize you guys for everything that you've been through lately. And just tell you, how wonderful that you're doing and how wonderful you're going to start feeling in 2021 now that some of this more difficult energy has come off. All right, so I pulled Her Hand Gentles the War. Oh, interesting. I actually have never pulled this one for myself, and I pulled almost every card. This is number 5, so it looks like this. Don't worry, you're not supposed to understand what it means from reading it. You have to read the explanation. Okay, so hopefully this will relate to you guys. Allow me to help you, for there are times when battle builds strength, but also times when it no longer serves a constructive purpose and a war needs to end. You guys, I feel like that's really been what you guys have been going through. I think this is the universe telling you that you have been through so much. You've been through an internal war and transformation that has led to this metamorphosis. And now the universe is saying that it doesn't actually serve a constructive purpose to keep giving you hard times. So it's wonderful to be more hopeful at this time, even though it might feel like a little bit scary to do so. It might feel like you're going to get hurt if you look forward to something, and you're going to be disappointed because this last year was hard. But actually, I really see that this is going to be very positive for you. At some point, the war has to end because it doesn't serve a purpose. But let me keep reading. For you, the battle within has served its purpose. Okay, that's literally what I just said. And if it were to continue, you would be worn down needlessly. It can be easy to become so engaged in the struggle that you don't realize there is a way beyond it. I do, however, and I move to offer you my merciful and compassionate intervention. Whether the war is in your heart, the mind, the body, or the world, call for my hand and I shall bring relief. Whilst tension can be an important part of growth, there are times when it can become unnecessarily destructive, causing fatigue and killing off our sense of love, serenity, and trust. Although you may not consciously recognize a war being waged within, you will still feel its effect over time. It could be bone deep weariness. You may experience difficulty in genuinely sustaining hope because you are so tired, feeling defeated, rather than optimistic about being able to create the sort of life for yourself that you want. The Divine Mother's compassion seeks to protect us from suffering that is not in some way ultimately helpful to the growth and well being of the soul. You have the mental strength to let go of a conflict, to stop trying to shame yourself or another out of fear. You have the courage to respect life and the right of each being has to choose their own way to be in the world. Basically, okay, that's kind of long. So basically, it's saying that this is a time for you guys to rest. I mean, that's what I was saying with this card. It's a time for you to rest and recuperate for your soul, because you've already been through so much that it really doesn't serve a purpose for you guys to keep being beat down. You've already had the metamorphosis, you've already had the transformation, and it just, again, doesn't make sense for more things to keep coming at you. So if you've been really wary, time to rest. If you feel like you're losing hope, don't, because this is the universe basically saying that you're going to start getting more blessings coming into your life. It's going to be easier. It's going to feel lighter. It's going to feel freer. These are some of the most beautiful cards in the deck, you guys. So if you're having some doubt about how things are going to go in the future, don't worry, because things really are going to start improving. And I hope you guys enjoy this. If so, please like or give me a thumbs up, which is the same thing, or comment down below. And if you want to purchase a reading just for your astrology chart, you can at willisbloom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.